This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
And a good evening, everybody, and welcome to Monday night, another Monday with Mayor Dan Allers. And before we get to Dan and pull him into this screen here, they want to give everyone a couple of quick updates on the yellow shirts. We're going to ship the yellow shirts through the end of this year. So if you haven't gotten your shirt order in yet, you need to have your shirt order in before January 1st, and we'll continue to ship them until January 1st. And after that, they'll just be available at the live shows on Friday night and Saturday morning. And as far as the sweatshirts go, we have 5 smalls left and 2 extra large left from the first order. And all 7 of those will be available Friday night at Margaritas or Saturday at Wahoo Willie's. We are going to do a show on Saturday at Wahoo Willie's. They are open until 5:30. So kind of an abbreviated Christmas Eve at Wahoo Willie's. And I wanted to bring Dan in before we started and read this note that we have from Denise. She says, "Thank you for your dedication and keeping everyone informed on the subjects that are important to rebuild. I love the new Mondays with the mayor and the morning beach walks. Much love and support from Louisville, Kentucky." And that is from Denise. And thank you so much for the nice note, Denise. And Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Good evening. How you guys doing? Hi, Kim.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Swooping in there at the last minute.
It's always a crapshoot, Dan. We don't know whether she's going to join us or not. So, but before we get started with Dan, dear.
It's because getting something painted, and so the room is, I couldn't get the chair out. But
So yesterday I came home from, I don't remember where I was. I was out doing something or doing nothing. Actually, I was watching the football games, and I come back into my room. Now, Dan, I have all my receipts like perfectly piled for, the shirts and the sweatshirts and the money that was contributed, and all nice folders on the floor here in the office. And I come back yesterday and this shit is everywhere. Like the receipts are in the corner and there's files all over here. And I'm like, dear, what the hell happened? You ruined my perfect filing system.
I was gonna ask about the Post-its over your right shoulder there. What's on the screen? Is
That's how I keep track of. Oh, those are all my passwords. I probably should put something over those.
Yeah, I can't read them.
okay, first
So here's
of
our
all,
explanation.
No. First of all, you keeping receipts in piles on the floor is not an organizational system. All right. Well,
You need to talk to Megan. She's got this wicked app. She keeps all the receipts and she takes pictures of them and it stores them in this app somewhere.
there you go.
She handles all of that.
There you go. That way, when the Roomba comes in unsupervised to the room and swirls around on the pile of receipts and just shoots them everywhere, it wouldn't happen. We wouldn't have that
Are there
problem.
receipts in the Roomba?
There might be.
You mentioned Roomba. I got a quick side story for you about a Roomba. They're fantastic, especially when you have animals. We had some friends of ours who but we'll keep them anonymous.
I have a feeling this is going because it's happened.
We had their dogs at the house, and we were out doing some things, and we came back, and the dog couldn't wait for us to get back. But Roomba's sensing system must not have been working very well, and it thought it was speed bumps, and took its time dragging it all over the house. So Roomba's great, except you can put it on top of a counter and it won't drive off it, but evidently it can't watch out for dog poo.
I thought you were going to say it sucked the dog or the cat up or something.
No, that has happened to us, and that it is such a mess.
Imagine if those things could smell. What an invention that would be. All right,
we were still trying to get the cat to ride it. You see those commercials with the cat riding around on top of the the Zumba. Our cat was not having anything to do with
We
that.
tried this dingle dork here. She went out and bought a skateboard because she saw some commercial where a bulldog was on a skateboard or something. So she bought a skateboard and tried to get Cookie on the skateboard. It was
I've seen that bulldog that does that.
Oh yeah, they love that. Not ours.
She didn't love
Not
that
ours.
at all.
Got to start them when they're young.
Yeah, there's a
So-
guy that got really popular. I don't know if it's YouTube or what it was, but the dog has its own channel where he takes his dog to the skate park.
I
The
believe
dog
it.
goes all over
No
the
kidding.
skate park.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to show Cookie that to see if we could train her by watching YouTube videos like the rest of us do.
I've met Cookie.
A
Good
long
luck.
time ago.
All right, Dan, let's get down to business here. We got a list of questions that the people sent in, and let's start with the curfew. Somebody sent in a kind of a scenario that they wanted you to address. Our grandkids are visiting us for Christmas in 3 months. Since Ian, we have worked our blanks off to prepare the house for their arrival. They fly in at 9 o'clock Tuesday, and we have set up a limo ride as part of their gift. They all have Minnesota IDs. How will our grandkids be able to reach our house after the checkpoint and the curfew?
Well, technically they won't. I guess that's the easiest answer. After 8 o'clock, you're supposed to be a resident to be able to get on. The Lee County Sheriff's Office has gotten very good about knowing who's supposed to be on, who's not. And I can tell you, being here at Buttonwood, the traffic really dies down after it gets dark. So you see the lights out there. I would say maybe reach out to the Lee County Sheriff's Office and see if, or reach out to me. I'll see what I can do to help you in that situation. But yeah, we have to talk about the curfew, I think, when we get at our next meeting here after the new year to decide what we want to do with that. I can tell you most people that are staying on the island actually really like it, at least the ones that I've talked to. They like how quiet it is at night. But we have to talk about it because scenarios like this do come up. But maybe they could go meet him, ride in the limo with them. Then they have their pass to get back over the bridge.
Okay.
Surprise them in the limo.
What is your preference on the curfew?
I'm kind of torn. It's there for a reason. It's there for safety. It's there to keep people that aren't supposed to be there from, wandering around the island at night because it is still dark on the island. A lot of the lights aren't working. Side streets are really dark. So it's there for that purpose and that purpose only. And most people are adhering to it. So for me, it's kind of it's a safety issue, but I also understand, it's kind of our quasi season, I guess, as much as season's going to be this year. And not everybody can get back onto the island by 8. If you're a resident, you don't have an issue. If you're a non-resident, like in this case, you're probably going to have an issue. And you're right, Heather. It is a pain in the butt. But you have to understand what it was there for. It was put there to, to protect the people and their belongings, to keep people out at night. The bad things happen at night. So that's what it was there for.
So when you get more lights on and more businesses open, is that when you'll consider, or is it kind of a week by week thing right now? The curfew, staying or going or changing?
Well, I think, and when we have our first meeting in January, I think we'll bring it up. I'm sure if I don't bring it up, someone else is going to bring it up to have a discussion to see what we want to do with it, extend it, change the hours, get rid of it altogether. It'll be a council decision when we meet the first time in January.
Okay, so speaking of the sheriff's department, maybe I went by it too fast or I missed it. Is their trailer gone over by Red Coconut, or is it still there?
It's still there.
Okay, I must have just missed it.
Real quick before we go on, I see Paul. Now I figured out your comment thing here. I could follow along so I can read those at the same time.
Oh, okay, cool.
So Paul was asking about non-resident owners. If you have a water bill, something showing that you own that property, that'll work, as well as not having just a driver's license from 339. As long as you can show that you own on the island or you belong on the island, they let you through pretty easily.
And anyone that has a question, you can just type it in the chat box and we'll pop it up on the screen, except for some, yeah, I mean, pop it in there and we'll pop it up on the screen whenever you have questions. So, yeah.
What about the showers and laundry at Santini Plaza?
And the Beach Baptist. Maybe you could bunch that whole situation.
Well, so I'm still trying to get some answers as to the Beach Baptist part. So we had talked to, we had known that on the 22nd that the Santini, as we had said, we're going to be going away, the showers and the bathrooms. However, we did not know about the ones on Beach Baptist. And I happened to drive by after meeting with the town manager and Danielle that morning, and I noticed they were demobilizing the ones at Beach Baptist. So Danielle went down and talked to them. Our Glenn Hammers, our FDEM rep that's in town, went down and talked to them, but to no avail. Those are gone now too. So we didn't know about that one, so I apologize. If we'd have known, I would have certainly let you know. I found out about it as I was driving by. So, at some point we knew they were going to be taking their assets back. Those cost money. So, unfortunately, those are gone.
And I did talk to Pastor Sean today at the Beach Baptist, and he said he's working with the town. He's trying to get showers and I don't know if it's showers and bathrooms, but maybe laundry too. I don't know. We're trying to get specifics on everything that's gone and everything he's trying to get put back in there. And that he really is in need of an electrician, that we're trying to help him out, like get to the top of the electrician's busy schedule to see if they could get a temporary power pole in there is really what it sounds like he needs. So it sounds like he's trying to get whatever was taken away replaced so that the people down on that end of the island have something.
Yeah, I tried to go in and use that shower at Beach Baptist about a week or so ago because we don't have a shower either. We've got this, we're camping. So
yeah,
I went in there to try it, and to say that those things are not big guy friendly would be an understatement.
I see.
They were difficult for me to use. So, but I tried it just to, if nothing else, to get the experience to see what it was like. But I could see if you don't, it was better than not having a shower. I'll tell you that.
Were you talking about the ones at Beach Baptist? The
Yeah,
showers there? Yeah. They're a little small.
Did you get
they're not very big. And they had those handles that you have to push it and then hurry up, and then the water shuts off, and then you got to push it again. It was like,
let's see.
But they were so small, and I'm so wide that all I'd have to do is turn, and it would just hit the button automatically. So we were good.
All right. I'm picturing, never mind. Let's get the Beach Guys question in. We had some questions on the sheet that sent over to you about setbacks, and I know the LPA is getting in the mud of all this here. Did you leave the dog outside? So I don't know if you want to tackle this one here, Dan, about the elevate or the setbacks.
So it says my setbacks were 7.5, but now are 10 feet. Can I elevate? Well, sure, you can elevate your home. I don't know why you couldn't, but I think what their question is I'm guessing their home made it, and it was built to the 7.5 foot setback, and they want to elevate it. I'm guessing that's what the question is, more than rebuilding back. That's a good question. If your house is existing, I think what they're trying to ask is if your house is existing and it was built under the 7.5 foot setback, can you elevate that home, or do you have to tear it down and redo it? I'm guessing that's what the question was, and I don't know that specific answer, but
Okay.
You can elevate your house, sure. So their lot must be wider than 50 feet. My guess is 75 foot lot to get that 10 foot setback. They are, the LPA talked about that. I talked to Jason Green today. It seems like the LPA's consensus was they wanted to try to go back to the 7.5 foot setback. So they're drafting something to have the LPA take a look at, to vote on, to discuss, that they can bring to us at the end of January, beginning of February, for us to vote on or have a first reading of. So we can get some answers to that's a pretty popular question.
Right. Now you mentioned Jason Green. There is some rumor going around, or some people think that he is trying to get the entire beach to become a velocity zone or something like that. Can you explain anything about what's going on with that, or do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
No, that's the first I've heard of that.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to that another time then. So, well, I mean, a couple people I talked to said that they were worried that there was going to be a major change like that. I mean, the whole beach is not in a high velocity zone, right? I mean, now, some places are and some places aren't.
I would think if there was any truth to that rumor, I would have heard about it by now. At least I would hope would have heard about it by now. But no, I have not heard anything about making the whole island a V zone.
Okay. So last week, Governor DeSantis showed up on Old San Carlos and hung out with you guys at the Yucatan and made an announcement about trailers, something that Kim's been harping on for weeks and weeks now about FEMA not providing trailers. And then Governor DeSantis comes in and he just slaps it on the table that trailers for everybody. So what's your understanding of what he said and how that impacts Fort Myers Beach?
Well, my understanding was, and I think he prefaced it by saying, they understand during a hurricane season why you wouldn't want to have, trailers in a V zone, but we're outside of hurricane season.
Right.
And the state's program is a 6-month program. So those trailers would have to be back anyway before the hurricane season would start. So essentially he said that he had given direction to Director Guthrie to don't worry about that it's in a V zone, get these people their trailer and get them to them now. And I don't know the website off the top of my head that Director Guthrie put out there that you go to and apply. And I haven't talked to anyone that has done it yet. I shouldn't say that. I did speak to one person that said they went on right away and to that website and filled out the thing, but I have not talked to them since.
Okay. So what's the town really isn't involved in that, right? I mean, these people have to go on that website, apply for it. The town's already kind of said, yeah, we want you to have trailers on your property if you can and help you rebuild your house from your trailer. And you guys even, I think it was the last council that even said they wanted to help with power and water and whatever they can to keep people on their property while they rebuild. So what is the town's role in that? Just wait to hear what Guthrie does?
No. So we took the proactive approach back before council changed hands and allowed travel trailers to be put on properties. I think it was for up to 18 months, but to review it after a year, if I remember correctly.
Right.
So that hurdle was already out of the way. In order for the state or federal government, they usually have to see, the local municipality has to play ball too. Well, we had already started that process. So both for the state and for FEMA, that's not a hurdle that they have to overcome now. We've already allowed that. We're still waiting for the final ordinance to come back to officially make it official, but it's been a unanimous decision that that's something that we believe is a necessity to get these people back building their homes.
You know the total number of folks that have applied for trailers on the beach, right?
Well, yeah. So the total people that applied for assistance, for housing assistance on the 33931 area code was 524, I believe. Of that, 220 are specifically on Fort Myers Beach. And I wanted to know that number because, I can't dictate or have any influence on what happens over the bridge. So for me, it was important to see how many people are in need of assistance on our island. And of that 220 that have been approved, I thought, I didn't know. Out of the 524, I thought, is there 400 at the, over the bridge at the RV parks, or how many? So now that we know what that number is, I thought if there's a way that we could work around, as I mentioned, I think on one of the previous shows, working with a local partner or a national company to see if we can just end around the whole state or FEMA process and get these people in here. So now that we know that number, I'm trying to reach out to some people to talk to see if that's the case, because the state's is only 6 months. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that both FEMA and the state, it starts in the state's case 6 months, or FEMA's 18 months from the date of the storm. So we're already close to 3 months into that by the time you get through everything. Now, I don't know for sure if what was just announced at the press conference with Governor DeSantis, if that still is that 3 months.
That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, that would be
people
crazy.
would be in their trailer for like 1 month because.
But there's now, they also, you can also file extensions, and there's things that you could do that way. And I don't know all of the details on that yet, but we're trying to work the best we can. FEMA has actually been pretty good over the last couple of weeks with working with us, trying to find ways to get people into their travel trailers. And when we say travel trailers, we're talking about, it's got the wheels, you can move it. It's not your permanent type trailer like people are used to seeing in the FEMA cities and stuff like that. So they're not going to be through FEMA. They're not going to be allowed in the V zone. So basically anything on the beach side of Estero Boulevard, just for a rough idea, is in the V zone. So they're not going to be allowed in there, but some of the other zones like the AE and stuff like that, they're looking at, and we're supposed to have an answer from them this week as to whether or not they're going to allow that to start getting some of these 220 people into some place to live.
Now, whether the state does it or FEMA does it, are they all going to be travel trailers? Are they going to be like trailers where you're going to have to put the electric and how's that going to work?
Yeah. So my understanding with FEMA is that no matter if it's a travel trailer or not, you still have to have septic, you still have to have water, you still have to have, electric, just like you would if it was a permanent trailer. So you would still have to have those. FEMA coordinates all of that for you. and gets it put in for you. What the time frame is to get that in, it's still kind of out there a
Get
little
permits from you guys from the town though for that, or
Well, you still have to, the town has already given, as we said earlier, the town has already said that you can have a trailer, travel trailer on your property. So you still have to do the small, easy little form it is to, kind of show where it's going to be on your property. But for the most part, it's the town doesn't have a lot of dictation as to what FEMA requires, where they require. They have certain lot sizes that they have that these trailers can be on. So there's a lot of, I have pages of notes of requirements and do's and don'ts, and to try to keep them all straight is a full-time job in itself.
Let's take David's question. Are the trailers only for homeowners, or are renters allowed trailers on the owner's lots?
I believe if it's, so I asked that question. A renter can have a trailer that would, so when they say that they qualify for housing assistance, that doesn't matter if you're a homeowner or if you're a renter. However, if you don't own the property, you have to have permission from the property owner to be able to have the trailer on the property. If that makes sense.
Yep. All right, let's go back up to Judith's question that scrolled up a little bit. She signed up for FEMA to clear out her lot. They say they're applying for the permits, but not always a lot of trust there. Should she apply for her own and just list FEMA as the contractor?
Well, you could certainly. So there's one company, it's Crowder Golf, not Crowder Golf, I'm sorry, SWFL, that has contracted with the state that does the demolitions of the homes. So once they get through the process of the eanddebriscleanup.com, then it goes through, and yes, you still need to have a permit. The contractor, I believe, pulls it, but you still have to have information from the homeowner. There's I just slipped my mind. It's an acknowledgement basically saying we allow these people to come on and tear our house down, that we're okay with them tearing the house down. So the contractor still has to, even if you hire a private contractor to come and tear it down, they have to get your sign off for them to be able to come on and do that. So yes, you still have to have a sign off, even though it's still the state that's coming in to take that down.
Okay. Kim wants to know about permitting. How are you feeling about how permitting is going? She's not feeling too good about it.
Well, what did it say? Went to trailers to get help and was treated so bad. If I were to get any busy, sent an email 10 days ago with no response. So, I'm there every day, and I see them walking people into the receptionist every day. And I see whether it's Steve or whoever else that comes out, Steve Poposky comes out to talk to them about their specific thing. It has gotten better. Demolition permits are taking a day, at most 2 days to get turned around. The average roughly for permits is taking about 14 to 16 days for a rebuild permit. So if you're gutting your house and you need a permit for your electric, plumbing, all that kind of stuff, it's taking around 2 weeks to get that out, which is, considering there's, I think what they say, 3,200, just over 3,200 permits as of October 5th when they started opening it up. 3,200 permits since October 5th. That's a lot of permits.
Are you getting more staff to help get them through?
Trying to get more staff. Yeah. Reallocating some resources from areas to do stuff for like the demolition permits. Some of the easier, if you will, permits that don't take a lot of planning, review. Those are the ones that take a little bit. So I'll just give you an example. So like our permit, we just got our permit issued a couple of days ago. It was put in on the 29th, I believe, and we got it on the 15th or 16th. And I tracked it every day through the portal to see where it was. And it's kind of lining up. There was another person I'd talked to that put theirs in on the 28th, and they got theirs the day before. And then I talked to someone that put it in the day after, like December 1st, and they got it the day after. So it seems like it's tracking right around that 2.5 week time frame to get the permits turned around. Again, assuming you have all your paperwork in. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. When you turn in your permit, whether you're doing it yourself or you're having a contractor do it, there's some things that you want to make sure that you turn in. The cost form, which it doesn't have to be specific, despite what I think some people are saying, is very general. Plumbing is going to cost this much. Electric is going to cost this much. Drywall is going to cost this much. And you put it in this cost form sheet. That's a very important thing to put in there, because that's what they're going to come back and look at us for when they look, if they're going to claw back money. They're going to come and look at that and say, did you have this form? So we have to have that form. So
when you say they, you mean FEMA.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have that form. that saves staff a lot of time. Whether you do it or your contractor, most contractors now understand and they're doing it. If you're changing something, make sure you have your plan there. If you're going to move a wall or you're going to move a sink or you're going to do something like that, make sure you show that in the plan. And then also it really helps to have your LEPA letter. If you attach your LEPA letter with your packet that you send in, that really saves you a lot of time. And
Okay.
the other one that I've noticed, it doesn't hold it up, as I found out today. I thought it did, but I was wrong, is the notice of commencement. You don't actually need that until you need an inspection. But if you take care of that at the beginning, I'm a firm believer, if you give everything you need up front, it makes that process go much quicker. If one of those things get lost, then it comes back to you or it doesn't get turned in. They're going to come back and ask you for it. Then you send it back in, and that's where you're starting to see some of the delays. So I'm trying to track them, and obviously there's one-offs. There's things that are different that require a little bit more time, but in general, it sounds like can we get better? Sure. But the fact that there's 3,200 permits, which is more than we see in a year by a lot, and they're still sticking to that 2 to 3 week. They don't want a permit to go past 3 weeks if possible. So, and that's under normal circumstances. And if they can achieve that goal or get better than that goal with the volume of permits that they're seeing and the staff that we have currently, I think they're doing the best they can with the resources they got. But we are working to try to get them more people.
Are you requiring every time the permit goes in for another notary signature?
I believe those were waived. The notary to have, I believe that was waived.
Okay. All right. Let's take Susie's question here about debris. If the debris trucks have made a pass down a street, do they come back again? Bay Beach Lane is in need of another debris pickup.
Yes, they do. They do. They go around and they do, their first pass, and they'll just keep going up and down these streets until they get told that they aren't supposed to do it anymore. So whenever that day comes, hopefully we'll have plenty of enough, advance notice to let everybody know that they're going to stop doing that. But yeah, they'll keep coming around. Maybe a couple days before you see them, maybe a week before you see them again. But they do come up and they clean your street out. Then they go to the next one. Seems like it gets cleaned up. Then you drive down, and there's more stuff out there. And then you drive down, and there's more stuff, and then it goes away, and then it comes back. So yeah, they will come back. It's not one and done.
Do you have any idea how much longer you think we'll need them? The trucks?
I don't. Quite a while. You see a lot of these houses that still have to be torn down that aren't torn down yet. Some are waiting for debris cleanup to do it. Some are, waiting for insurance. Some are waiting for other reasons to tear it down. But it's every time I drive the island, it seems in the morning you see things, and in the afternoon it looks completely different. You're like, I didn't recognize that, and it wasn't because you weren't paying attention. It's because now there's a house or two to gone, and you can see the next thing behind it. So it's still going to take some time to get all this cleaned up.
What's interesting to me about that is that if some people are waiting for debris cleanup to knock their house down, and then the feds are on this timetable where they have to have things cleaned up, it's like the one agency's waiting for the other agency, and we hope that the town doesn't get screwed in the end because because FEMA's like, okay, we're done, with the reimbursement time,
Well, I would hope that doesn't happen. I mean, there's going to be an end date at some point. What that end date is, we don't know. But if you're in the queue to get your house torn down, I believe Director Guthrie said it once already. I think he said it in our Friday town hall. If you're in the queue to get your house torn down, they're still going to take your house on, even if it ends. Whatever the end date is, as long as you were in there, they're going to finish off. They're going to finish their job. They're not going to say, Friday's the last day, and sorry, you've been waiting a month. We're not going to come and do it now. At least that was my interpretation of what he said in the town hall meeting.
So
this one.
Go ahead.
So one of the questions is, can you rebuild using a modular home that meets the Florida hurricane standards that you would put on stilts for the height when it's determined?
My understanding is, I talked to Jason Green about this, and there's a company out of Tampa or somewhere that makes modular homes that are wind and rated to be able to do that. Obviously, you have to elevate them, but I've been told that you can.
So when you see the outrigger sell for what it's selling for, and you hear the rumors going around about Red Coconut and what they're looking to get for that property there, what are you thinking?
Well, there's opportunity. I mean, people are out there and, they're paying attention. They see what it is. Every person I've met with, and I'll keep saying it, and I know I'm probably a broken record, but every person I talk to, whether they're a developer or, we have a set of codes right now that you have to build within. And if you buy a piece of property and you assume that you're going to be able to change those codes, that's on you. Now, these people that are buying properties like that are very, very, a lot smarter than I am. They made their money. They know what they're doing. So, I'm not too concerned. They know that they're going to have to build the place up. They know, what the mentality of this beach is. They know how much we care about the culture. They know how much we care about it being, that funky, eclectic island. Everyone I speak to, I'm probably a broken record. I tell them the exact same things, but it doesn't mean I don't want to see nothing there.
Right.
It's got to be something. It's going to be new. It's going to be a little bit different, but it still can look old. It can still feel old. It can still, have that history. So there's a lot of ways you can bring new and old in, and there's some people, clever people that have clever ideas out there. And I can tell you so far, all the developers that I've spoken with that have looked at trying to develop on the island or purchase on the island, not a one of them has said anything to me about wanting to build some massive 20-story hotel or anything. That hasn't even entered into any conversation that I've had, and I've had several. So, I'm very clear with them on where I stand, and it doesn't mean that you can't do some things a little bit different. And I challenge all of them to think outside the box and come up with creative ways that we can keep the old. And my wife gets tired of me saying it, but I love new things, but I love when you can bring old into the new. My favorite, I'm a big car guy. Anybody that's a car person knows what I'm talking about when I say my favorite car is a resto mod. The outside looks like it did when it was original, but everything inside the shell is brand new. So it's always been a favorite car of mine. It's you're keeping that old history, that old look, the old handmade frame, bodies and things like that. But inside it's a new motor, it's new brakes, it's, brought up to current codes, and it's a safer vehicle, but it still looks old and still looks really cool. So I keep using that analogy because I think that's kind of what Fort Myers Beach could be, or what we're going down the path towards.
Now, are there regulations in place to, I know you said, when you're talking to developers about trying to, when they rebuild or, they buy a new property and they're going to build up. I mean, you can't really compel them to decorate it or that right. I mean, there's nothing that says it's got to have this kind of a look or that kind of a look, correct?
Sure. Well, okay. So, if people come in and they're going to build something and they want more than what they're allowed to build, the code says that you have to, in order to approve something like that, there has to be a public benefit to it. So there's something that has to come back to the public that makes it a benefit to be able to allow those deviations or those variances to happen. So they all know that. They all understand that there's ways that they're going to have to be creative to, if they need something more than what they can currently have, which is going to be the case in some of these, then they have to come back to us and tell us what can they do for the community to make it worthwhile. It's kind of, that's that bargaining. That's where I own this, you own that, and we want to coexist, but it's a give and take. You have to figure out what that give and take is and what makes sense for everybody. And we'll have those discussions. The LPA is going to be heavily involved in it. The community will be heavily involved in it before it even gets to a council vote one way or another. So if there's anything I think people are learning is we're not going to be shy about getting things out to you as fast as we can. We're going to make sure that you have the information as fast as you can, as much as we can when we get it, so that you have time to research it just like we do and figure out what you like, don't like, offer suggestions, and then we can make, educated decisions moving forward.
And so when I heard yesterday from neighbors that, and they talked to the person that put up the sign outside the outrigger and Charlie's, that 30, I think it was 37 or something like that, included both the outrigger and Charlie's Boathouse for that price, not just the outrigger. And Darren, do you know? I'm sorry?
I don't know that if that's the case. I'm not sure. And
I tried to get in touch with the company that I was told bought those properties out of Naples and get them to come on the show. So hopefully that
I've heard that the price didn't include Charlie's, but again, I don't know for sure one way or another.
Right. I guess it'd be good to get them on and ask them what their vision is of that location. It looks like they have some experience in other hotels, which you would think they did if they were interested in that property. But so that for Charlie's, let's talk about Charlie's for a second. That's zoned a restaurant, right? It's not like you can knock down the restaurant building or whatever's left of it. Okay, the hell with you, Ed.
No, sorry, I'm trying to pull up. I got the zoning map up, and I was going to try to pull it up as we're talking. So if I can tell you exactly what it's zoned as soon as I.
Because, as soon as we posted that sale, the biggest concern from people that follow our page anyway was, okay, the hotel side is going to be a 30-story hotel or a 20-story hotel. And, there are zoning regulations in place. You can't just knock something down and build whatever you want. And so I'm guessing that Charlie's side is zoned a restaurant.
Well, I'm trying to go. I'm trying to get my computer to cooperate. So I don't know if you can see me, but I'm on another screen. I'm on another screen right now trying to go find the property so I can tell you, what it's zoned as. But
and as you were saying before, any changes that somebody wants to make have to go through not only the council, which I don't think would go for those kind of crazy changes, any of those 5 members, but the LPA as well. It's got to go through 2 layers of approvals before anything goes through. And I think everybody's feels the same, that they want to try and keep it not like what it was, but as close to what it was as they can.
Yeah, it looks like it's zoned. Oh, I lost it. Wrong one. CB, I think it says here. Yeah, CB.
What does that stand for? Commercial something.
Business would be. I haven't seen the CB.
So you can't, if it's commercial business, can you build a hotel on that property?
That I don't know 100% for sure, Ed.
All right.
I'd hate to give you the answer and I don't know it. But
yeah, we'll find out. That's easy enough to research. So any of the other questions here?
No, well, somebody was talking about workforce housing. That's going to continue to be an issue down there too.
I think, there's a lot of talk about, commercial residential, that kind of stuff is being talked about. And as I said, most of the developers that I've met with so far, the few that I have met with, they're trying to get a feel of what the vision is for the town. And I've met with some that have property currently that was destroyed and they want to build back. And, to me, it all seems like negotiations. It seems like, they're trying to get a feel for us to see what we're willing to allow, what we're not willing to allow, things like that. And I always try to ask them all the same question. You've asked me a lot of questions. My question to you, especially if you own property currently, what possessed you to buy on Fort Myers Beach? What was it about Fort Myers Beach that you liked when you bought that property, whatever the property was? And their answer is always the same thing. At first, it was, it was a revenue producing property. And they quickly realized how much the people that had visited their location several times over years and years and years, and they got to know them, and they realized how close the community was, and they became part of the community, and they didn't want to change some things. So they completely understand the culture of Fort Myers Beach, especially the ones that own here. So when you ask them that question, you could see it kind of takes them back a little bit. Like, I guess we never really thought about it that way. I mean, who we are now, figure out something. It's your job to figure out something. It's not my job to tell you what to build. Your job is to figure out what you need, what makes money for you, what's going to be good for the community, and then bring a cookie, and then bring it
in here.
Yeah. And then bring it forward and let the community and the LPA and the council hash it out, and we'll come to something that works for everybody.
So Dan, we had the CEO and the sales manager from P3 Elevations on the show Saturday, and I wanted to get your opinion on what you think of that whole situation of people possibly raising their houses as opposed to knocking it down and rebuilding.
Yeah, a lot of people have told me that they're looking at that and they didn't think it wasn't as expensive as they expected it to be. I don't know what the numbers are, but it's definitely an option to be able to do that versus having to tear everything down and start all over again. So I'm all about options. If that's something that works for them and there's something that we can do that makes sense within our code to allow them to do that, I'm all for it.
I think they said, what, 200,000 to raise it up?
I guess it's all different.
It's different on the size of the house, but I forget that was.
And the biggest question was, can you raise a house that's on a concrete slab? And they If you ever been on their YouTube page, man, they show this time lapse video of them being able to raise these things, and it's really interesting to watch how that happens. Any meetings or any news on Times Square?
No, not yet. It had some discussions with the commissioners that were at the DeSantis thing the other day, and kind of what their thoughts were and what I think that would work for both the county and for the town. I mean, there's an opportunity to make a really cool compound, or however you want to call it, down there between Crescent Park and Lynn Hall Park and the pier and Times Square. There's obviously individual business owners that would have to be involved in that, but they seem very open to making that a great gathering place that it just kind of flows. I think something down there to be able to make it flow from one side to the other, however that works out, whether it's a boardwalk or whatever, however it works out, we're way too early to discuss any of that, but something that would make it even better than what it was. I think that's in their sites as well as in the town sites.
Any word from FWC about cleaning up the back bay and all of that?
Well, they're working on it every day. I mean, they're cleaning up the canals. They're dumping them in the trucks. I think they're using the mosquito board property down off of Sterling or Lazy Way, where they're coming in by the barge full and loading them up onto the land, and then they're loading them into the trucks and hauling them away. I mean, it's running nonstop there. So they're working. It just takes time. There's a lot of debris out there, but they're working. I can't even
imagine what they're pulling out of there.
Now, it would be the perfect time for somebody to suggest a pickleball court at Crescent Park. I mean, it's a home run right there. Pickleball and parking.
I don't think that there's any suggestions that are outside the realm of possibility at this point.
Well, volleyball shouldn't be back. I mean, nobody plays volleyball anymore. So, I mean, who plays volleyball anymore?
So I don't know why
it's widely popular though, for crying out loud.
So, last time I played volleyball, you might have been able to fit a piece of paper under my vertical when I jumped up. I don't know. It would have been close.
What is the last day for free permits? Do you know when that ends before people have to start paying again?
I don't know I think it's January 12th or 17th. I can get that information for you. I don't know the exact same. Whatever. I can't remember what the exact day it is, but it's I'll tell you about that permitting. It served its purpose. It's kind of one of those no good deed goes unpunished type things, and it's going to cost the town a lot of money and lost revenue. And in hindsight, I wish I would have stepped back and take a look at it. I'll take the blame for that, because it was, you're trying to do the right thing and you're trying to help people out. And what it did is it took a very large sum of money away from our permitting department to be able to staff to get more permits processed. So although we were trying to do the right thing, I think we took a lot of money out of the coffers. I think it's close to $1 million, if not over $1 million right now, that has been lost in this. But it's giving people some reprieve from at least a little bit. But
yeah, I mean, they lost everything. So I mean, I don't think there was any wrong way of doing that. These are people that lost a lot of money themselves too.
But unfortunately, when you say that to people, they don't hear that. They hear, well, it's taken too long to get a permit, and by voting to relieve those fees, we caused some of that issue. So some of that lies on us, and I'll be the first one to take the blame, because I'm the one that brought it up.
Okay. So we're going to get a manager's change, kind of a manager's like musical chairs at the end of this year, right? Can you give everyone an update on what's going to happen there? I know Chris is kind of taking a step back after the first, and you got a new guy coming in.
Well, he'll still be there. He may not be here, butt and seat, if you will, every single day. Keith Wilkins, his son, is getting married here at the end of this month, so he's been trying to get that planned. He's been working. He's been down here several times, plus he's on the calls, he's on the emails, he's on all of the communication. So he's fully up to speed. And Chris will still be there even after the first of the year, but that's when you'll kind of see the person actually at the meetings will be Keith, more or less, going forward. And Chris will be in the background helping, and he'll be here times too, at certain times too. But after the wedding is when you'll see that actual person, I guess, if you will, shift.
And Jim Adderholt is interviewing Chris Holly, who's the temporary town manager, temporary permanent town manager. They're here for 6 months, the two guys. And Jim is interviewing Chris this week, and we'll play that before our show on Saturday. And of course, the town will push it out on all their social media pages. So,
yeah, Chris has been, I mean, Chris and Keith have been very good about trying to get caught up to speed, where we're at, how we're procuring things, how we're getting, it takes a couple weeks to be able to get the background stuff caught up on, who's in charge of what, who does what, how do they do what, how do we make sure that we keep money coming into the bank, who do we have to ask for money. So they've been really wrapping their heads around that now, and I think they're settling in on some of the things, and they know where to point the arrow, if you will, to start getting things done.
So somebody was asking, have any developers come forward to build, like a large space that could be cut up and in lease terms for mom and pops that, can't afford to rebuild, but might be able to lease a space?
No, they haven't come forward, but I'm glad that she asked that question, because that's one of the things that I've put forth to some of the developers that I've talked to, or some of even the local people that have owned land here for a long time, is, have you given any thought to allowing a space for the mom and pops? I don't like to use mom and pops, but the hardworking small business residents that live on the island, a place to go without having to charge the astronomical fees that some corporate places may or may not be able to afford. And it kind of took them back a little bit, because that's an idea that they had never thought of, but it makes a lot of sense. And that's goes back to that, public benefit type thing that you could maybe look at and say, we're keeping, we'll just use Anita, because Anita's got 3 stores. If we can keep Anita's 3 stores that she's had here for a long time, or the Pete's Timeouts of the world, or things like that. If you can keep, places like that have, a lot of the stuff done at Santini that's been there for a long time. If you can keep those people that were here before the storm and help them out in a way that, where they were at before the storm, that I think could be a very welcoming thing that the community might rally behind.
So Dan, I did a video on Saturday down by Red Coconut and then the Arts Building, which was totally collapsed from the storm. And then when I was on the beach was really looking nice. I mean, it was you could see a lot of just beach with no garbage on it, anything like that. And I said something like, of course, I have no authority to say anything, and nobody should really listen to anything I say. But I said
that's what I do.
I thought people should start coming down, like make plans to come down. You can't really stay at a hotel, but you can stay in Fort Myers, and you can drive over. You can park in the county lot. You can walk over. You can spend money at Wahoo Willie's, or Root Shrimp Company's getting ready to open next month. And I see the Taco truck is out there, and Tuna Skin's out there. What is your feeling right now? Should people start coming back? Yes or no?
Well, we're certainly not going to keep them from coming. You saw every day you go down and see people are parking, and they're frequenting all these businesses that are open are full all day. You see people on the beach. You have to be careful there. Even though the beach may look like it's perfect and in pristine condition, Megan and I were out doing the beach cleanup with all the other people, and we tried to spread out. So we went down to the beach access where we would normally access the beach from our house, to try to clean up that area, because it's kind of the middle of the island where nobody was at. And even though at first it looked like it was really nice, as you start walking, you see things that are really buried in the sand, like full-size pots that all you see is like this much sticking up over the top of it. So there's still some debris out there. You got to wear your shoes, especially if you go in the water. There's so much stuff that every day gets washed up. Every day there's something new washing up. So, the crews are out there cleaning it up. The residents are out there. I get people asked all the time that'll message me, we're coming down for 3 days. We're staying in Fort Myers, but we want to come to the beach. We want to volunteer. I always tell them all the same thing. Grab a bag. If you're going to the beach, grab a bag. Walk the beach, grab some garbage, pick it up, bring it to where we can pick it up. So everybody seems to be doing that and liking it. So it's not that we don't want you here. We just want you to be safe. We want to make sure that, when you come down, you leave the way you came down. You're not leaving with an injury or a cut, or, taxing some of our resources that we're limited on now. But we certainly want to see you down here and enjoying yourself, and, try to stay out of the way as best you can of the debris trucks and the people trying to work, and, You know,
Yeah.
I certainly don't want to tell someone that wants to come and relax for the day and sit on the beach that they can't come.
Right.
Just be careful. Just be smart. Know your,
Yeah.
pay attention to your surroundings
And
enjoy.
I just wanted to say, and also kudos to the Webbers for the work they're doing, helping to clean up on the beach too. And you mentioned that you should go down there if you can with a bag. Just a few rules that I learned yesterday from Keep Lee County Beautiful. It has to be a clear bag, and there are piles. You'll see piles of garbage that are on the beach, so you don't really have to carry it around with you. If you see a pile of garbage, it's there for folks that will come later on in the day, and either in a tractor or whatever they're driving will clean it up and take it to where it needs to go. So you can pick up a bag or two full of garbage with gloves on, and what I also noticed too is every time the tide comes in, it looks like after it's been cleaned, the tide is just bringing in whatever. There's so much stuff that's in the water from all the businesses and homes on the beach side that were just sucked out into the water, and so it just seems like every high tide more stuff's coming in.
Well, and it's not just the beach either. It's out on Estero where people are walking down, and they're looking, and you see people having a soda or whatever they're having walking down, and I've seen people take their cans and just throw them onto the ground.
Yeah,
just because it's a disaster area, and just because there's still cleanup going on, try to be respectful.
Make it worse,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, someone was
if you're
asking.
coming down, leave it better than when you got there. Pick up
Right.
some and throw it away, and so that's a little frustrating to see things like that. Unfortunately, there are some bad people out there that just don't care. But we want you here. We want you to come down, enjoy yourself, and spend your money. But don't leave it worse than what you came down here.
Right.
Make it better.
What about trash cans, town trash cans on the beach, or
in
I saw
Times Square.
that comment come up. It's on one of my list of things to
Okay.
talk to the town manager about, as well as the parking signs, when we can start to get some of the parking signs out, because there's people parked everywhere. And
well,
it's time to pay the piper now.
the other thing too is, and I've seen this, I've personally experienced it, and I've heard people talk about it. If you're coming down to the beach and people are going to look around, I get it. But when you're going 2 miles an hour and the rest of the people are trying to get where they need to go,
especially the big black trucks,
just pull over and walk. If you want to look around and really get a good look,
Saturday morning was a nightmare.
Walk.
Going
Yeah,
there shouldn't be backed up traffic on Estero Boulevard. It's that one person that's causing it, that's backing up the traffic, and they're too dumb to realize that if they look in their rearview mirror, they'd see that they're causing the traffic jam because there's nobody in front of them.
Well, when I was trying to leave the beach on Saturday, I was at the town hall area, and then I went to try to do some work on the house. And when I was leaving, it was backed up past the Junkanoo. So people are here, they're looking, they're coming to spend some money at the restaurants and stuff, and people checking on their homes or what have you, but just got to pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah. So I know this really isn't something that I know Jim Matterholt's been paying more attention to this. It's kind of been his assignment. And maybe you do know something. The last time that we heard about the post office was that Senator Rick Scott called the Postmaster General, and they were gonna fix things. At least they made it look like they were gonna fix things on Twitter, so that they could get their names out there and make it look like they were doing something. I got a call on Friday from Alex King, who we all know, and he went to the post office to pick up his mail, which was in Jetport Loop, and they had a petition. They had a clipboard that the person behind the counter said, if we get enough signatures from the people on Fort Myers Beach, we'll look into getting a facility closer to the beach. And I was dumbfounded by that. Like, this is something brand new that's nobody's ever heard about. Like, now we have to get a petition of signatures before the post office to do something. Did you hear that? Did you know that was going on?
No, that's the first I've heard of that. That's pretty ridiculous if you ask me, but no, that's the first I've heard of it. Someone asked me just yesterday, like, where can we go we want to mail a card. I want to mail a Christmas card to my family up north. Where can I do it? It's simple things like that. Why? I'm tired of hearing the excuses, quite honestly. There's no excuse as to why you can't use, as Megan just said, the UPS store or something to be able to process this. I mean, I see FedEx trucks and UPS trucks on the island every day, all day. You have to wonder what happened to rain, sleet, snow. I remember those commercials.
Janelle-
when I was a kid.
Pony Express down there.
Janelle must have went to the post
Yeah,
office and saw.
yeah.
Not that Alex King isn't telling the truth, but I had never heard that. It's not
Right.
Senator Rick Scott didn't tweet out, "You have to sign a petition when you go to the post office next time." He made it sound like he was going to get something done.
Well, I can tell you, we're fortunate to have Jim Matterholt on this because he is
Sure.
very, very good at doing these specific types of things. He is diligent. He is focused, and he'll get to the bottom of these, and he won't stop trying. So he's the perfect person for this, in my opinion.
And by the way, just so everybody knows, yes, the building that the post office is in is for sale, but the post office has a long-term lease that they signed. So I'm assuming that whoever buys the building is going to be happy to have a tenant already in that building. Like the U.S. government probably pays top dollar for what they're doing, but they have an 8-year lease that they signed something for 8 years, whether it's a lease or
I've heard it's even longer than that, but
okay.
is that something? And then maybe that's part of it. Would the post office be okay with getting out of that if someone wanted to buy the building and keep it a post office or extend it? Or I'm sure there's a lot of legality things in there, but again, I think Jim's got his finger on this. He's got the pulse of it, and he'll keep digging.
Yeah, and they also were supposedly they were going over to look at the building to see if they could put something temporary in the parking lot. Of course, I reached out to them last week, their communications guy, and you don't hear back from him. Can you just give me an update? They went over there and they met. Why can't you just call the guy on the phone and ask him how the meeting went? Are they going to have something temporary in the parking lot? It's crazy sometimes getting answers.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be. I'm not a post office expert, but I got to believe there's. If you can build bridges in 3 days,
yeah,
you've got to be able to come up with some sort of solution to make it easier for the people on the barrier islands.
Lastly, Dan, before we let you go, anything on 7-Eleven? Have you heard anything?
I have not. I see that they're working on. I noticed today they're working off the one up here off Pine Ridge Road. I saw them working on the inside. Looks like they've got some work going on some of the other ones. The one across from Junkanoo, I see they've got a big fence around it now, so that's nice to see. The one up by the Whale, I see that one's gone. I have not been in the last couple of days up to see what the one is on the north end looks like, and the one on the south end by Flamingo area there. That one doesn't look like a lot has happened there, but I'll look at it again tomorrow. I usually look at it every couple of days.
Any word from CVS?
I've not heard anything from them, no.
And I think I heard still Publix is in January. That's what last I heard. They look
Yeah,
like
I haven't gotten an update on that, but they're moving pretty quickly down there.
Cool. All right, Dan, we'll let you go, and appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you in a week if we don't see you before that.
All right, thanks.
All right. Mayor Dan Allers, everybody, before we go, I do want to make sure that when you get ready to rebuild, that you do it with people that you trust. And we have two folks that we want to tell you about here, Liberty Roofing and Construction. You can trust them. We wouldn't put somebody on the show if we didn't go through the process of making sure that they are somebody that you can trust. You might need a roof. A lot of people will need a roof on Fort Myers Beach. So you want to give Liberty Roofing a call. Ask for Patrick McKenna, 401-439-9585, 401-439-9585. And also ATM Mortgage wants to know if it's time for you to do a little home improvement around the house. ATM Mortgage offers lines of credit and rehab loans for the simple or complex project. There are many simple and there are many complex on Fort Myers Beach. You probably fit into one of those categories. So if you need a new roof, you might need a new roof. You can call them and ask for some money. Fix up the dock or maybe update your kitchen. No problem. Fort Myers resident Kim Henderson is here to help 7 days a week. Call Kim, 239, not that Kim, this Kim, 239-849.
I have nothing to do with mortgages.
6999. Or you can go to atmmortgage.net. Thank you to those guys for being part of the show. And if you need that information a little slower, just send me an email and we'll send you their contact information.
Speaking of roofs, I did get through to someone about our roof because we had a leak. And apparently, and I guess after I thought about this, but apparently the warranty is null and void if there's a named storm.
No kidding.
So I mean, I guess.
Who knew?
Yeah. So
nothing works out. So the lastly, again, about the shirts, the yellow shirts, will ship until the end of the year, and then they'll just be available at the live shows. So if you want a yellow shirt, we've sold like 2,000 of them. I guess eventually we'll run out of people. You can send me an email, edryan@gmail.com. I'll send you the secure link. I know this is kind of a pain in the arse because we're going back and forth, but if you've been on our Facebook page for any amount of time, you can see all the scammers that are trying to steal your money. So this way, you know it's coming from us, and we'll ship you the shirt. Nothing that ships this week is going to be on time for Christmas, so just forget about that. And the sweatshirts, we have 5 small and 2 extra large left, and they'll be available Friday at Mango Ritas. I combined Wild Willie's and Mango Ritas. We'll be at Wango Willie's and Saturday at 11 o'clock. So if you want a sweatshirt, this is what they look like. The first batch has nothing on it. The second batch that we're getting will have Beach Talk Radio on the back because you guys said you'd like it that way. And the third batch will have it on the sleeve, which was suggested by somebody that follows the show. Anything else, dear, that you want to share with the people?
No.
You don't want to with the people?
No, well, we're working on a couple other ideas.
Yeah, last night was a brainstorming session. Do you want to tell everybody the other one that we're working on?
So the idea that one of the 2 of the people sitting here came up with,
not me,
was beach towels. So we're going to look into getting beach towels because we hope everybody will, come on back to the beach, and you're going to need a towel when you come on down.
Aaron's ready to bug out. No, and so I was thinking bright yellow. Everything has to be yellow now. You're going to stand out with a yellow beach towel.
Yellows that might be a little more, I don't know, aesthetically pleasing.
Yellow is yellow. I mean, it's not a
different.
I don't know. I like the popping off the shirts pop. You can see the yellow coming.
I wish it was a little, I don't know, a little brighter, but not so school bus yellow.
All right. Well, we'll keep you up to date on that. That'll be next year. See, yellow is the brand now. See, they can't change. The problem with the yellow sweatshirts, maybe it isn't a problem. Maybe we should look and see about yellow sweatshirts. Although I like the baby blue. And then the yellow hats didn't work because the logo really didn't. You want the logo to pop off the hat.
Well, I think what we talked about, and I don't know if it'll happen, is outlining this part, the beach part, in black. Yeah.
I like when you do that. All right, everybody.
Sorry.
We'll see you Friday night at Wango Rita's.
Sunshine.
Bye-bye.